So next step then is a search function. So going back to our samples again. So this kind of idea would be nice. So select, and there we go. We pan and zoom to the selected location. So I'm just going to take the relevant parts, and the first part we need is easy to miss, and that is that we need to augment our script, and the script tag which grabs the Google Maps API, downloads it. We have to add a parameter to say we want the places library, because it doesn't download everything by default. So grab that, and the other bit then is we have to have a search box. Strangely enough, that's just a simple HTML input element. Let's just go ahead and throw that in there. So this is just an input field. This is just a search box, just a UI element with no behavior yet. So if we were to just go and look now at what we have, we can't see the search box because the map is 100% tall. So if we go and change that to 80%, and there's our search box. We can type in it and nothing much happens because, as I say, it's just a dumb box that doesn't do anything. It doesn't know what to do with the user input yet. So what we then need to do is hook it up to the map and to the Google's API. The way we do that is by this code here. I'm going to just grab a few lines here and then we'll explain them. Right, so what we have then is similar to what we did earlier. We use standard JavaScript to get the map canvas element, div element. So what we're going to do is similarly grab the input element that we created further down, get a reference to it, so we do something with it. That's stored in our variable input. We then this bit's a bit mysterious. We fiddle with the map's controls, telling them that we want that input box to be present in the top left of the map itself. In fact, if we just have a quick look now, you'll see what I mean. So there it is. Search box no longer down here; it's up here. So that's that, and this is the real meat of the operation. We create an instance of search box, and we give it a reference to that input element that we've been talking about, and this just contains all of the magic. For want of a better explanation, that actually does the querying on the server side. It goes out, calls out to Google, and with what's entered into this search box, and populates it with suggestions. So if I was to type in one of these locations like Katoomba, you see, great, we're getting our drop-down options. And if we select one, nothing happens. There's no map centering. The way to fix that then is to grab some subsequent code from this example, and it happens to be this. So what we're doing is we're adding our second event listener. So this bit of code here, we were adding a DOM listener. So we were saying when the load event happens on the window, call function initialize. So we're going to do something similar, and we're going to say add a listener to the search box, which is this, such that when the places associated with it have changed, you call this function, and we're just defining this inline here. and there's quite a lot to this particular function. In this particular example, we're not going to use all of it, but suffice to say that this function tells the map to center itself around the selected place. So we're going to do something similar but simpler. We're going to grab that line and close the function and close the argument list for the add listener call. Confirm that this function is being called, that we're within the body of now. What I'm going to do is make a call to the standard JavaScript alert function, which just pops up a dialog box, and I'm going to say hello. We can test that then by reloading the page and selecting something, and there we go. So we know that we're catching the event of the user picking a place from the pick list. So we now need to change this code here to be something sensible that actually does something with the map. So we have the map variable within scope. We can do something with it. So here we can say map.something. What is it that we do? On the map class, we can set the center to be a particular latitude longitude pair. Seems pretty appropriate. We can also set the zoom. So I think those two, set zoom and set center, seem appropriate to what we're doing here. But how do we know? How do we know what values to set them to? Well, turns out that we can get from the search box the current value of the places that were selected by the user. The reason I know that is because that's what the example does, or did. I've lost it now, but so we could also have found that out from the reference as well if we search for the search box class, which is that one there. I also happen to know from having fiddled around with this a bit myself already, I happen to recall that getPlaces is an array. So, for example, if I were to, the result of this call here is going to be an array of places. We can prove that by just putting an alert box of the length of that array. There it is. So there's one place in our results. So what we could then do for testing purposes only so far at this point is just hard code in getting the very first element out of that array, and that then gives us a place object. And again, magically I recall that a place object has a geometry attribute to it. Interestingly, what I could do at this point is one little debugging tool, I guess, is if you assign that object to a variable, you can then loop over its fields. Correct, I think. What attributes are present on this this geometry? We're iterating over all of the attributes present on that object, that geometry object. For each one, we are popping up an alert dialog containing its name, not its value, just its name. So there we go. So we've got location. Sounds useful, and that's it. Pretty useful. So why not just pop up an alert with geo.location. Oops. There we are. So what that means is that the search result. So in this case, let's pick somewhere. Let's pick this location. Has the coordinates latitude and longitude as given here. We're still not doing anything with those coordinates. The map still doesn't know or care that the search box resulted in that value being picked by the user. We haven't hooked anything up yet, so we'd better do that. So what I could do then is, so let's just assign that location object to a var, and so we have a latitude longitude pair in location. What we can do then, if you remember from the reference, we've got this set center method, so we can say map.setCenter. I think location is already in the appropriate form. Let's try it. So we're still in Australia, and it works. The other thing, the second thing then, was the zoom level. I think it was set zoom, wasn't it? Set zoom number. And I think, which is a fairly moderately high level of zoom. Let's try one of these nearby places. No, that's... Oh, did I reload the page? Maybe not. That's better. So the reason why I've gone for a moderately high zoom level and maybe too high is that I think for the typical use case you wouldn't be going very far in either direction. This is probably a bit too much of a zoom though. Let's try 13. I don't know if these numbers mean anything. That's probably better, isn't it? If I was going to do a circular bike route, do we have a scale on here? We don't. We could probably. It might be nice to find out how to display a scale at some point. So I have no idea what kind of. This is obviously a largest town or small city. Okay, so anyway, we've got somewhere. So this code then is our kind of first iteration. We can search. We have a map. At the moment it's pretty non-interactive. We can't click on anything, doesn't do anything at all. We'll add that very shortly.